Hi, this is Don Mitchell. Welcome back to Business Basics, the book that helps you accomplish at least 8,000 times more than you otherwise would with a successful business or nonprofit organization. Today, we'll continue talking about ways to add more customers, to expand the market much more rapidly, and gain market share. Our topic today in Lesson 8 is to add distribution. And you'll learn a lot more about what I mean as you listen further. But let's begin by looking at Psalm 107, verse 37 in the New King James Version. And sow fields and plant vineyards, that they may yield a fruitful harvest. For success in real estate, brokers and investors are fond of emphasizing that old adage that there are only three things that count: location, location, location. Despite awareness of this well-known saying, even those who put no spending limits on purchasing and renting top-quality real estate usually fail to understand how similarly important adding distribution is for successful development of a market. Let's start with a simple example. Nantucket Nectars, the fruit juice maker, was established in 1990 by two college friends who wanted to stay close to their Nantucket roots while after graduating. Nantucket is a beautiful small island off Cape Cod in Massachusetts, where the New England whaling industry was originally based. The friend's first business was a small store that sold and delivered groceries to boats docked in Nantucket Harbor. After becoming intrigued by a peach-based beverage they enjoyed while vacationing in Spain, they decided to concoct a tasty local version in their blender by using some fresh fruit. Initially, their only distribution was to sell fresh gallons of the beverage in used containers to boat owners in Nantucket Harbor. Demand from other Nantucket Islanders led the owners, Tom First and Tom Scott, to eventually produce a few hundred cases of pasteurized juice in new bottles. The two men were soon inundated with requests to distribute the product beyond Nantucket, beginning with the ice distributor in Cape Cod who stored their pasteurized product. As a result, you could buy the product on the Cape and on the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Eventually, bottles became available across eastern Massachusetts, then in other eastern states, and by 1995 in 30 states. Annual revenues rose in 6 years from less than $25,000 to over $20 million as issuing these high-quality juices stirred up customer interest. Rapid growth in distribution since then boosted annual sales to hundreds of millions of dollars. Obviously, not very many people keep boats in Nantucket Harbor. If the two founders had not added other forms of distribution and locations, the market might still be just as small as it was when they started. I often see a similar effect with adding more customers. By adding restaurants, you can draw different travel timelines around a restaurant, predict how likely people live or work within or drive through the various travel time areas will be to frequent the restaurant. Let's consider frequency just in terms of distance as a partial substitute for travel time. In the United States, those who live, work, or travel within 1/2 mile of a restaurant are about 10 times more likely to dine there than those who live, work, or travel from 1/2 mile to 1 mile away. Those who fall in that further away band are about 10 times more likely to be customers than those who live, work, or travel from 1 to 2 miles away, and on it goes, with consumption usually declining exponentially as distance increases. The market expansion implications are obvious. Since the appeal of a restaurant is primarily a function of how far away it is from customers in time and distance, you can expand the market and brand by putting in restaurants that are closer to potential customers. Why do people respond this way? Well, few customers will drive or walk past one competitive restaurant to reach another one. So if there's a Wendy's, a Burger King, and a McDonald's, all fast food hamburger restaurants on a street, most people eventually go to the closest one, unless they're located virtually next to one another. When they are almost equally close, most people will go to the one that's least crowded, especially at lunch when lines and wait times can be long. Except for a special occasion, hardly anyone will make a special trip to eat at any particular restaurant that's further than 2 miles away. Instead, people will most often raid the refrigerator, grab a snack from the cupboard, or order some takeout food to be delivered. Interestingly, even high-value professional services show similar distribution elasticity. Local presence changes behavior changes among customers. When a consulting firm first locates an office in a geographical area, local revenues will usually rise by at least tenfold, even if the firm has been marketing with the same staff to the same potential customers all along. While the internet provides the opportunity to drive lots of traffic to a single global site, those who do best find that creating local versions of their sites can greatly expand revenues as well. For example, Amazon.com has Canadian and British sites, even though the English used is mostly common to what is found on the US site. Savvy marketers have also learned to stimulate more demand by creating dozens of online sites, with each presenting different reasons to buy. Another example of how more distribution expands purchasing. With the exception of a few large, long-established retail industries such as supermarkets, Mitchell & Company research continues to validate the opportunity to expand most markets by several 100% simply through increasing distribution in terms of locations and other access points. If you think about the availability of vending machines containing snacks and a soda and how they affect your personal consumption of such items, I'm sure you appreciate how big a role convenient access plays in influencing purchases. When you combine a unique and preferred offering, as Nantucket Nectars did with establishing the new premium juice category, with expanded distribution, market growth can be explosive. So what benefits can come from adding more distribution or access points? First, you're noticed more often by potential customers. Second, if they need or want what you offer, they will probably buy more often. Third, if you fulfill your offer in an acceptable way, they will probably keep buying as needed and tell others to work with you. Fourth, if demand is stimulated enough, you can also grow revenues faster than costs and assets, increasing your profits and cash flow as a percentage of revenues. 5, if you purchase or rent a uniquely valuable location, such as in a high-traffic, high-visibility site with exclusive rights, you will have eliminated some competition. 6, with distribution advantages, your pricing power will increase due to facing less competition and serving those customers for whom you are the most convenient. 7, the affordability of mass marketing methods is improved. With enough of a distribution advantage, marketing cost advantages, and any scarcity of good locations can limit future challenges from existing and new competitors. So what's the strategic advantage lesson of expanding your market by 20 times through adding distribution? Fully develop the market first, or you will be leaving the door open to expansion by current competitors and a continuing supply of new entrants who can develop and use distribution advantages against you. Applying that lesson often means that a multi-brand strategy with each concept operating in different locations will work best. Compete with yourself rather than with other firms. Few people ever realize the potential value of this strategy and miss most of the potential growth and profits they could enjoy. If McDonald's had also developed something like Burger King and Wendy's, there would be no significant hamburger competitors in most world markets for the 3 McDonald's-owned hamburger brands. The following sections address specific questions you should consider to locate and to obtain advantages from distribution elasticity for expanding your market. First, how can added distribution become valuable to customers? Here I want to quote from the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 11. But he who gathers by labor will increase. In most instances, there's customer benefits from making it easier to obtain their product or service. This benefit may come in the form of less time spent on travel, faster service being received to deal with a pressing need, or reduced costs for customers. Most companies make the mistake of having distribution that reflects their convenience rather than that of the customers. Unless carefully evaluated and controlled, most organizations will simply place their locations where leaders would like to be. Your assignment: look for new ways to provide customer benefits from expanded distribution. Through testing in small geographical markets, measure the revenue and profit effects from providing different combinations of such benefits. Next, I want to ask the question of how far can you profitably expand your distribution? Here I want to quote from the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verse 41. And Joshua conquered them from Kadesh Barnea as far as Gaza, and all the country of Goshen, even as far as Gibeon. There are 2 important dimensions to properly expanding distribution. First, the amount of increased purchasing that occurs. Second, the amount of cost reductions for adding and operating with more distribution. A coffee and donut chain originally based in the Boston area, Dunkin' Donuts, learned how to become more effective in both dimensions. The original stores mostly served those who dined in while seated at a counter. Waitresses constantly circled, refilling coffee cups at no additional charge to encourage tips. Waitresses ignored for as long as possible the relatively few takeout customers because they didn't tip, and many such potential customers left in disgust without buying. Each store also had its own bakery and grill. Stores were located about 2 miles apart. Today, each store emphasizes takeout business, with only use of 8 to 15 seats. There are no special servers and no free coffee refills for those who choose to eat in. Almost all locations have drive-through windows. None have bakeries. Donuts are delivered fresh to the stores several times a day, as are many other food items such as bagels, muffins, flatbread, fillings for sandwiches, and pizzas. Stores are located as close together as every 2 blocks, often less than a quarter mile, in high traffic and high density areas. To further lower costs of adding distribution, many gasoline filling stations now offer a limited selection of Dunkin's coffee and donuts in their convenient food markets. The chain has grown by more than 20 times in the Boston area alone due to such changes and has greatly increased its market share while substantially expanding the total market. The same approach has made Dunkin' a powerhouse in many other parts of the United States and around the world. So your assignment is to take a small geographical area and saturate it with lower cost distribution points until no more profitable sales can be added. Be sure that customers are equally delighted with any new methods of providing or delivering your product or service as they have been with current methods. Next, I want to ask another fundamental question. How can you identify and develop the best areas first? Here we're going to talk about the quote first from the book of Genesis, chapter 45, verse 20. Also, do not be concerned about your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. Domino's Pizza, a delivery-focused chain, demonstrates many good lessons about focusing first on the highest potential distribution locations. Domino's original owners soon recognized that areas near college and university dormitories filled with unmarried students were the best places to locate because school cafeterias rarely offered good pizzas, many students didn't have kitchens, and late-night snacks were a predictable part of any living away from home experience. Domino's built first in such locations and later expanded to densely populated areas filled with apartments where young, unmarried college graduates, who of course had been their customers while in college, usually lived during their first jobs. Your assignment here is to put your operations in locations where your best customers want to find you and to do so in ways that block competition from establishing equally good distribution and credibility. Our next fundamental question is, how can you change your business model to permit faster distribution expansion? Here again, I'm going to quote from the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 10. And he wrote in the name of King Azarias, sealed it with a king's signet ring, and sent letters by coursers and couriers on horseback, riding on royal horses bred from swift steeds. Many businesses choose to franchise their offerings, in part because this strategy permits faster distribution expansion. Can you franchise what you do in order to make your offerings more conveniently available? If not, can you license some aspects of what you do to expand distribution more rapidly in that way? Your assignment is to re-examine all parts of your business model to see how you could accelerate adding distribution. Test your better ideas to see how well they work before making major improvements and expansions. And finally, how can you locate undiscovered high potential markets to develop? Here we're going to look at again in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 12. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge and discretion. A friend told me a fascinating story about seeking and finding undiscovered high potential markets after attending his 5th reunion from Harvard Business School. While at the reunion, my friend was surprised to learn that this fellow, who had finished with the lowest grades while earning his MBA, had become the class's first millionaire. Naturally, everyone wanted to know how the millionaire classmate had accomplished this secret. Since the man hadn't been able to attract any job offers before he graduated, he had decided to go into business for himself. With little experience and even less money, he had to start a business that no one else wanted. He acquired the exclusive rights to distribute Pong, the first arcade video game, in Africa for about $1,000, and the rest is history. He was able to purchase the rights easily and cheaply because no one else wanted these rights. Undoubtedly, many people discounted the opportunity because they weren't sure how well such a game would do in arcades, how reliable the electronics were, and associated Africa with poor people who couldn't afford to play games in an arcade. This entrepreneur correctly appreciated this new form of entertainment would go very well in places where few alternate forms of low-cost entertainment were available. He also knew that electronic products were generally more reliable than electromechanical ones, such as the pinball machines that filled many arcades. In addition, he was convinced that there were bound to be at least a few people with enough money to go to arcades among so many Africans. He was well compensated for being right. So as your final assignment, consider large distribution alternatives that are different from where the bulk of the market is now. For example, the Nantucket Nectar's founders eventually enjoyed great success with young people attending colleges. Yacht owners and harbors, their original focus, were a small market by comparison. These entrepreneurs had started at the narrow end of the market in distributing their products. If they continued to emphasize yacht harbors for expanded distribution, we probably wouldn't know about Nantucket Nectars or its founders today. So I hope that you'll find in these examples and these commentaries and questions great ideas for helping you to expand your distribution, to create a 20 times or larger market, and to gain market share as you do. So let me say goodbye for now. May God bless you, your family, and all you do in the name of Jesus.